The marathon cinematic short was 8 minutes and 43 seconds long. I had watched the gameplay reveal first, and then I watched the cinematic trailer. And after watching the cinematic trailer and trying to piece together with the gameplay, I knew nothing about what the game was about. I then, after that, joined the Discord to find out more about the game, and I lurked in the chat for a while. I applied for the alpha, and from the Discord, I still knew nothing about the game. I never received an alpha code, not that I deserved one. There's lots of people who didn't get an alpha. But while I was lurking, I saw everyone talking about a game called Arc Raiders, and I did join that. Well, they call it the Tech Test 2. I joined that and got a blast. I learned more about Arc Raiders, a game I never heard of before I joined the I joined the Arc Raiders Alpha and learned more about that game on a whim. I just applied for it, and the next morning I was accepted. And still, I knew nothing about Marathon while I was playing Arc Raiders through their limited tech test. I just heard the controversies that came out with Marathon, and honestly, there came a time where I stopped checking my email for the Marathon Alpha. There's a problematic pattern to this story. I never learned anything more about Marathon, what the game was about, what it's trying to do. The only thing that I discovered was that it was an extraction shooter with strange aesthetics. The reason I am mentioning this is because Marathon has failed is the wrong word. Marathon did not even try, is what it feels like, to be successful. I want to cover a few controversies that Marathon has undergone over the last month or so. Some were more recent, such as the art, when they stole art.
Aldo, are you ever going to speak on the alleged video that leaked of you stealing a truckload of helium tanks?
I had nothing to do with the helium that was stolen.
When Marathon stole art from an artist called Anti-Real. I also checked out their live stream, which let's go over that. I want to start at kind of when things were going downhill, and that started with the cinematic trailer. The cinematic trailer was 8 minutes long, and that should have been the thing to connect me with their game and get me invested to some degree. All that did, it confused me. I felt like I was watching an indie film, and I couldn't be more disconnected after I watched that. I had no idea what the hell they were trying to say or do or anything like that. The cinematic trailer for a game especially really needs to connect you to the heart and soul of the game. One of the best examples of that in recent memory was Doom 2016. If you watch the trailer for that and then you watch the gameplay reveal, it's perfect.
It's not my business.
You know exactly what you're getting yourself into. This, I said it then and I will say it again. I do stand by these words when I initially reviewed the Marathon cinematic trailer. Whoever made that should have made an indie film, a short movie, because it was so disconnected from reality, what the game actually is, and I'm only judging that from gameplay trailers, what other people have said. that they did themselves a disservice. They wasted money. I have been a part, and I am a part of several small projects, and the most difficult thing the most challenging task in a creative project is trying to connect with the audience, not your audience, but the audience. Someone watches it and they vibe with it. They know what's going on to some degree, and they can get immersed into it. They clearly did not have that in the forefront of their mind when they made that cinematic trailer. It has nothing to do with the game at all. I get they have their characters, and you play, one of 4 runners, as they call them. One of 6 supposedly in the full release. But I really didn't learn anything about them. No uniqueness. I thought it was an interesting story. And if it was a single player game, like I said back then, I'd be more interested. But that gameplay was not good. There was a part, this, for example, where they were showing the executions, and they played this execution. The camera go up, it performs the execution, and it repeated the execution across multiple characters. I don't know, some 12 times in rapid succession, something like that. That told me right there. I'm like, are you kidding me? You did the same execution again and again and again and again. That right there spells repetitiveness. And these are things you should be thinking about when you're having your meetings. You'd be talking about it like, hey, this kind of shows repetition. In an extraction shooter, that's the death of an extraction shooter. What are you thinking? And that, in my opinion, is just a symptom of what this project is suffering from. And that symptom, which I believe a lot of the creative sphere lacks nowadays, is passion. It's passion and real life experiences. Which I don't want to go too far deep into my thoughts of the issues with the creatives of today, mostly mainstream creatives. But this team, whether you want the leadership or those that they employ to carry out the daily tasks, there is a problem, a big problem. One that they are not going to be able to fix for this game, unfortunately. And that's just by looking at the facts that are here, which is three facts, honestly. First, the alpha, horrible alpha. The way the player place dropped off as dramatically as it did, as fast as it did. You can't get worse than that. The second thing, the live stream failure. That live stream is an absolute failure and honestly an embarrassment. And lastly, how they handled the controversy, which is connected to the live stream because they talked about it during the live stream. I won't say they handled it the worst way possible. They didn't handle it as bad as they could have by a long shot. But with how everything else has been going for them, Marathon, Bungie as a whole, they needed this win, which could have been an easy win. First, I want to go touch base on the alpha and their Discord. The alpha player base, the Marathon closed beta had a steady decline in the player base, a steady sharp decline in their player base. And as I said in the beginning of this video, I learned about Arc Raiders from their Discord. As of right now, when I dropped in on the Discord for Marathon, the people there are talking about anything but Marathon. And that should not be the case. The Marathon lore discussion, there was something for 9:51 p.m. Before that, 8:01 p.m. Then before that, 4:42 p.m. in the lore discussion chat. The general chat, They're talking about, like I said, anything but Marathon. That is a disaster. The fact that they didn't take out the Arc Raiders and close the Discord down after the closed beta was done, it kind of is mind-boggling. Again, I've been a part of several projects, creative projects, and those are sort of things we talk about. And I guarantee you, those other smaller projects I've been a part of, we would have closed that Discord down and reassessed. In this case, bad publicity does not equal good publicity. They don't want this right now. The second nail in the coffin, the live stream. They get the live stream up there, and the art director, first of all, is in a off-putting green sweater. Why didn't they coordinate this beforehand? Why didn't they say, "Hey, art director, make yourself presentable. Put a Marathon T-shirt on. Look stoked for the product." And then the way he just read out that whole non-apology letter to Anti-Life, the artist that they stole from, the art from. It's like, what the hell are you thinking? And furthermore, as the live stream goes on, they talk about details in the game that they want to tweak, the feedback they got from the closed beta. Nobody played the closed beta, and not by choice. Not a lot of people got the keys. So they're talking about things that are not even relevant to most of the people. I think it has something close to 50,000 views. I think their peak player base was in the 6,000s. Nobody knows what they're talking about because no one's played the game. That live stream should have been garner hype for Marathon. Even the developer, the other guy in the black, I got no passion from him. He did not look stoked to be there. He did not seem passionate. I didn't learn anything new about Marathon. They were just kind of taking in they were taking questions from Discord. Fine. But again, have they been watching their Discord? That's suicide. Why would they do that? I've learned about Arc Raiders from their Discord. The mismanagement hell. Lastly, the way they handled Anti-Life. The art that they found that was stolen. They blamed an employee that no longer works there. They have kind of committed to doing right to some degree. I still don't believe they've really nailed that down as to how they're going to do it. But let's be honest, guys. If this game looked like it was going to be any good, nobody would care about this. Because companies have been caught before stealing art from independent artists. And to be frank, if the game is good, if it's popular, nobody cares. So where does that leave us with all of this? The obvious, it is not looking good for Bungie. They were just bought out by Sony for a sizable amount of money. You know Sony cannot be happy about this. And in fact, I guess I should have mentioned this, the fourth controversy. The most recent one, the reason actually why I made this video, surprise, if you haven't heard, Sony just pulled all their funding for advertisements for the game. Now, I heard about this from another source, but to kind of confirm it, I've used the Game Post, and I read through their article, and yeah, it's what everyone's been talking about. Sony yanked the plug, which tells you what? It tells you that they lost faith in the project, and they don't think it worthy or financially viable to pump advertisements into this as is. So what are they going to do? Sony wants to make its money back. It wants to use the brand. I think, because this is what I would do if I was Sony. I would tell them to wrap Marathon up. I tell those guys, you got this much time, get together. And when I went back to my own people, I said, we're going to get rid of X, Y, and Z. The green shirt guy, unfortunately, in the live stream, he'd be on my list. He's got to go. Even that developer, there was no passion, but he's got to go too. And then I would go to Bungie again. I said, once this project is done and finished, and I, do my layoffs, I would tell them I want another Halo. I want another tried to true, down the roots Halo. And I want them to make my money back. They're going to go back to Halo. Marathon as a live service game, they're going to release it. They have to. But I don't know. It's going to fizzle out. They're going to do what they can, salvage it to a degree. Now I've heard some people say tax write-off. I don't know if they can with this. And the reason I don't think they can is because I don't believe Concord was allowed to be, or had the capacity to be written off as a tax write-off. So why would Marathon? There's a lot of legal gray areas, right? Concord was released. What if they never released Marathon, et cetera, et cetera? That's not what this is about. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they are going to release it. They are going to try and support it to some degree. But there's just too much going against this game, guys. I mean, good grief, man. The aesthetics, the story, at least how they presented it. I downloaded the original Marathons on Steam. I haven't played them, but I've been meaning to. I thought about trying. Maybe I'll record a video on it. I don't know. But I went to go play them, but I'm like, what's the point? The new Marathon's not going to do anything. It doesn't look good at all. At this point, if they could rework it into some single player experience, maybe they can get a dime out of it. But that's a lot of work on its own. So no, I think, again, the only option they have is to release it, try and pinch something out of it. They're not going to close the servers because, not for at least for a good duration, because they want to keep Bungie's reputation, at least until they release their next Halo, right? Grassroots Halo, and get the money out of that. Then they'll shut it down quietly because no one's going to care anymore. What they're going to do is they need new news. They need to brush Marathon under the rug, and everyone forget about it, and hopefully, at least I hope, they don't shut the studio down. Because Halo, it doesn't necessarily Bungie. Halo can move to something else, and even the Halos haven't done remarkable in the last recent years. Halo Infinite, I haven't even played it, and I'm the original Halo kid. I got the game on Christmas. They're just saying that I have. That's when something bad happens. I'll usually say, hey, it's a cheap lesson. Take it for what it is. In this case, it's an expensive lesson. One that the most they can get out of it is to learn the lesson. But I don't think they will. I've heard lately that gaming is dying. I hope that mantra has been resurfacing. And I don't think that's the case. There's a lot of indie studios coming up making some bangers. Expedition 33, haven't played it. I've heard nothing but good news. Kenshi 2, they just had their live stream. Or, I take that back. It wasn't a live stream. They pre-recorded it and put it on YouTube. The creator is a little awkward. But I'm going to tell you what. When I listen to that creator talk about Kenshi 2, now you probably don't know what it is, but just know it's an indie developer making a game. I saw the passion. And you know what it did? It made me excited for Kenshi 2. Because I promise you, day one, Kenshi 2 comes out. Do yourself a favor, look it up. I'm gonna buy it. The gaming isn't dying, guys. It's not. It's more popular than ever. There are more people who play games than ever before. When I was a kid, if I told someone I played games, I was called a nerd. And I think most people in my ballpark, as far as age goes, experience the same thing. I remember when you got older in high school, you didn't talk about video games because it was considered what losers did. Nowadays, almost everyone plays video games. Gaming spirit is not going anywhere, but it is going to shift and change. The gaming industry is going to change. And just like the movie industry right now, they're going to shift away from bloated projects into more and shift more into smaller, laser focused, highly polished experiences. Watch. I promise you. We're going to get, in the next few years, smaller, extremely polished experiences. And they're going to sell remarkably well. The Concords, the Marathons, and I hate to say it, even the Halos. They're going to die off. They'll resurface again once all this new talent gets to the point where they're able to make a Halo like the original Halo. But for now, sit back and enjoy the change. Don't get mad. Don't get sad. Marathon, you probably got a few more marathons to come. Because these large companies are massive entities where when they decide to pivot and make a change, it takes years just to move a few degrees. Whereas the indie sphere, they can move on the dime. That's their advantage. So guys, and this is more of a solemn take. For anyone who's excited about Marathon, again, don't be sad. It's going to be okay. So anyways, guys, that's it for this video. I hate to end it like this. Wish I had something positive, a positive spin to put on it. Nothing new can grow unless something else dies. All right, until the next time, guys. Later days. Take care.
Testing.